Speaker here tonight. I am Mary Helen Fein, and I live in Auburn. I've been with Mountain Stream since 1993. Oh my God. And I'm one of the community Dharma leaders of Mountain Stream. I get more active usually in Rockland and Auburn and some of the other groups, but I do come up here every couple of months and give a talk, and I very much enjoy it. So we'll sit from around 6 soon to for a half hour, and I'll give a talk for a half hour. And then the last half hour will be a questions or reflections and answers, if relevant, to the things that came up in the talk. So you can save your questions for that last half hour, and we'll have discussion. So did I cover everything, Marcia? How'd I do? Good. All right. So welcome, everybody. Delighted to be here with you, and we'll sit. I will ring the bell to start, ring the bell to end in about 30 minutes or so. Let me ask a quick question. Is there anyone here who's kind of new to meditation and would like a little guiding? Yes. Oh, no guiding. Not that new. Okay, great. So we will just sit in silence. I think we can call that 3 minutes. I'll ring the bell since I promised. I understand people at home on Zoom can't hear the bell, so the bell has been rung.
Mary Helen, I was able to turn original sound off or on, so we were able to hear the bell.
Oh, great. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Constant improvements, huh? So my talk tonight is about metta. And this symbol that I hope you're seeing is the Pali word, the Pali symbol for metta. I think it's so pretty. And metta is a Pali word that means loving kindness in English. And it's one of the fundamental teachings of the Buddha to practice loving kindness. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how metta has and loving kindness and the whole idea of love is kind of throughout our culture in a lot of ways, and just give you some examples of uh, of metta that I hope you'll enjoy. Buddhism teaches that there are two wings that we need to develop in order to fly, in order to reach enlightenment. Two wings to fly. And those two wings are wisdom and compassion. So, wisdom is when we begin to really understand deeply that everything is connected, that nothing is separate. I think that's a great definition of wisdom. And compassion helps us um, uh, because we break through our narrow, self-centered little worlds and we reach out with our heart to someone else who's suffering. So compassion's just a form of metta for someone who's suffering. So wisdom and compassion are these two wings, the Buddha said. Those are the two wings of Buddhism. And loving kindness, I'm sure you know, is not just important in Buddhism, it's important in many religions. Christ's basic message was love thy neighbor as thyself. And in Islam, Muslims are taught to show empathy and kindness to one another as they reflect Allah's love for all people. And in Hinduism, in fact, the whole idea of metta and the four Brahma Viharas, I'll talk a little bit about them later, but they come right from Hinduism. The Buddha took that whole teaching right out of the Patanjali Sutta. Because the Buddha was raised Hindu, and he took a lot of teachings directly from Hinduism into Buddhism. So metta is such a beautiful concept. The idea that we can, metta, the idea that we have this heart, it's our human nature that we can reach out to one another. And so it's not surprising to see it cropping up all over the place, is it? I'm going to just start with basketball. I hope I'm going to take you on a little journey through some places you might not expect to go. This is a 20-year NBA, I don't know anything about sports, NBA basketball player named Ron Art. He was named Ron Artest, but he legally had his name changed to Metta World Peace. So there he is in his jacket, in his shirt at the game, LA Lakers, I believe, with his last name on the back of his shirt, World Peace. So I think that's so cool. And so this is such a great idea of how metta, such a great example of how metta is coming, into our culture. Outside of religion, basketball. How about finance? This is the Metta Fund. It's a financial fund that donates about $55 million a year in San Francisco. And they give a lot of money to nonprofits to help the health of people who live in San Francisco. That Spanish there says Mujeres Unidas y Activas, which translates women united and active women. So there you have a financial fund giving 55 million a year that's called Metta. This is the Theater of Love. That's the name of this theater. It's a Cirque du Soleil production at the Mirage Casino Hotel in Las Vegas. Talk about Metta in secular settings. But they do a show at the Theater of Love, a stage show with a lot of Beatles music. And one of the designers of the show was George Harrison. So I don't know if you've ever seen Cirque du Soleil. I saw it once. It's pretty great because they have all kinds of different shows. So we have the basketball player of love, the financial fund of love, the theater of love. Here's the book of love. The book of love is, if you're as old as I am, you remember, I wonder who wrote the book of love. I was going to play it for you, but I'm not that, I'll lose the picture if I try to play it for you. If you know it, you probably can hear it in your mind. So this is just a book called The Book of Love by Kathleen McGowan. And there's also other books, if you go on Amazon, called The Book of Love. And there's a movie from 2017 with Jason Sudeikis called The Book of Love, which I have to now go watch. And of course, the city of love, Paris. So beautiful, huh? So love's everywhere. It's a wonderful part of our human lives. I just thought I'd talk a little bit about different kinds of love. For example, parental love, love for parents for their child. It's a very special kind of powerful love, isn't it? And then familial love. If we're lucky, we get brought up in a family with a lot of love. Even in places, in dysfunctional families, there's love, sometimes hiding. But hopefully we grew up in families with a lot of love. Love of your neighbors and your friends. Each of these is a little bit different from the others, isn't it? They have a shading, certain kind of passion. Love for all the people in the world. Love for all humans. Love for that beautiful blue ball in space. Louder? You're doing great. Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad you can hear me. How's that sound? Good? Good. Okay, great. So there we have love on basketball courts, in the theater, in the arts, in science, in financial funds. We have love from mothers and fathers, neighbors. and love for the whole world. Little interesting story about love in the government. There's you probably heard of the National Science Foundation. They awarded an $84,000 grant to some academic researchers to answer the question, what is love? They phrased their research like this: we already understand the mating habits of the stickleback fish. It's time to turn to another species, the human species. Well, this project never got off the ground too very well, as you can imagine. But what happened was there was a senator named William Proxmire, and he created a kind of fake award that he gave to this research program. It was called the Golden Fleece Award. So, and the Golden Fleece Award was, he gave it for years, 10, 12 years. He gave this award every year to some group that he thought was wasting a lot of money. So it was kind of a fake award. I'll talk more about Golden Fleece and how he got that name in a minute, but here were some examples of groups that he gave awards to. The Federal Aviation Administration was given a $60,000 grant to study the measurements of airline stewardesses. Yeah, we should know what year that was. Measurements, you know, bust, waist, hips, right? $60,000. 60. Yes. Here's another one. The Department of the Army set up a $6,000 study on how to buy Worcestershire sauce. And the third one, I think it's my favorite. Department of Defense spent $3,000 determining if people in the military should carry umbrellas when it's raining. So these were all Golden Fleece Award recipients. Let's talk a little bit about what the Golden Fleece means. I know this is not Buddhism, sort of off subject, but it's my feeling that as Buddhists, we should take an interest in everything, because it's all about the way things are. And when you look closely at something weird like the Golden Fleece, you discover things. There's a golden fleece. So what's a fleece? A fleece is the coat of a sheep. So when you shear the sheep and cut off all their wool, you get their fleece. It's also a verb, to fleece the sheep. This is like not behaving. Yeah, well, now it's falling out. Give me a minute. Sorry. How's that, guys? Can you hear me okay? It's not in. These little microphones are always a bit of a problem. I think I have it. Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, dear. I'll have to find somebody else when I give this talk next time.
Mary Helen, us Zoomers can't hear when people are speaking in the hall. If you wanted to share.
Yes. First of all, we had a sharing that the Ron Artest, or Metta World Peace basketball player, is notoriously filthy, cantankerous, gets in fights, not a Metta guy particularly. And then we had a question. Say it again for me. Facebook became Meta, but I think it's META. It's not our Meta. It's the Yeah, it's the techno meta. What does META mean? Combination. Okay. Right. Metaphysics, for example. Okay, so there's our golden fleece. And so the golden fleece is a mythological idea. And it comes from the myth of Jason and the Argonauts. You may have ever heard of Jason and Medea or him. So he was told by his king to go in search of the golden fleece. This is a beautiful, fluffy, soft piece of sheep skin, like a shearling jacket or something that's made of gold. It's mythological, so we can have all that. So this word fleece refers to the coat of wool that you cut off, and it also means the process of cutting off that coat, fleecing the sheep. So then, by extension, fleece becomes fleecing somebody, where you don't cut off their coat, but you con them out of their money. So hence the Golden Fleece Award, which was fleecing the government. I think that's kind of interesting. I was curious. So here's a sheep that's just been fleeced. They don't look too good, do they? So you can see when someone's been fleeced, they're not in good shape. This study on what is love that I started talking about before I branched into the fleece had some defenders. The New York Times wrote, getting money to study love. This was James Reston of the New York Times. Getting money to study love would be the best investment since Jefferson made the Louisiana Purchase. But it didn't happen because the research study got so much bad press with the Golden Fleece Award. Nobody wanted to research love ever again. So this is a Tanka painting. We have Tanka paintings around the room. You're probably familiar with them. And this one is called The Practice of Love. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. So I can show you a few things here. Like right here, can you see my cursor? This woman is giving a gift, an act of love. And then over here, we see people practicing and meditating together, uh, and with their hands in the prayer position, sharing their hearts together. Where there was another one I wanted to show you. I don't remember, but there are all kinds of, there's the turtle. And he's generously carrying all these people on his back. So there are many symbols of love in this beautiful Tanka painting. It's a very important part of Buddhism. One thing that's interesting, when you read the ancient texts of Buddhism, the Buddhist talks, the suttas, he talks about the actual meditation practice that he was assigning to the monks who were working with him. And it wasn't mostly about mindfulness, not about mindfulness of breathing, particularly, not about mindfulness of the body, not about mindfulness. It was about metta. He wanted them to practice having a loving heart. So I think that's so interesting. And I think that that's a really good practice for us. We always do our little 5-minute metta at the end of the night, or maybe you'll do a metta at the end of your meditation. But if we could spend longer doing metta practice and kind of feeling our heart, opening our heart, reaching our heart out to others, I think that would be good for us. I'll talk more about the benefits of that. Because I think Buddhism, one of the wonderful gifts of Buddhism is this idea that you're not stuck with the capacity for love that you were given as a child. You know, if your family was having a lot of problems, there might not have been much love in the house or in the air. And so as we reach adulthood, we may realize that our ability to love has limits. I'm sure everybody realizes their ability to love has limits. And so um, one of the main messages of Buddhism is that we can expand that. We can grow. You're not limited to what you grew up with. You can grow your ability to love. Um, and expand it, develop it. And when we do our meditation, our metta practice at the end of tonight, we'll do it. We do metta for myself, right? And then we think of one other person. And so we stretch it out a little bit more than just me. And then maybe all my families and friends. So we're expanding our metta, expanding our hearts, really holding more and more metta. And then my whole community, and then everybody in the United States and everybody in the planet. And finally, we end up with all beings everywhere. So we take our little heart and our love for ourselves and we grow it really big. And that's how you expand your capacity for metta. You just extend it wider and wider until you get to the phrase the Buddha used, boundless love, immeasurable love. Those are nice phrases. That's my next slide. Oh, good. Um, I think through the ages, metta has become this important reference point for Buddhists. And one of the things we may not think about much is that it's metta that underlies the precepts. You learn the precepts. Oh boy, I forgot to look them up. We're not going to take what's not freely given. What? Non-harming. Not taking what's not freely given. Right? Wise, right? Wise speech, wise action, and very good. 5 of them. Thank you. What underlies those precepts? It's metta. What is the kind thing to do? If I take intoxicants, I can like lose it and be mean to somebody because I'm not in control of myself. I don't quite know what I'm doing. What's the kind thing to do in each situation? That's what the precepts are really about. They're about practicing metta. So I thought, I love this quote: hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. The way I know it is, hatred never ends through hatred, but by love alone is healed. You may have heard it like that. You know, in Buddhist Asia, they quote that a lot. After 9/11, it was one of the most common quotes that you would come across. And it's so appropriate. So, lots of different kinds of love. The Buddha, as I was saying from the Patanjali Sutta of Hinduism, he took the 4 Brahma Viharas and brought them right into Buddhism. And they are metta, loving kindness, compassion, which is karuna, sympathetic joy, mudita. So you have compassion for someone who's suffering, and then you have joy with someone who's happy. And finally, equanimity, upekkha. So those are the 4 Brahma Viharas. Brahma in Hinduism is the great God, the creator. And what's a vihara? A vihara is a dwelling place. So you may have been with the nuns at Aloka Vihara in Placerville. Aloka Vihara means dwelling place of light. Aloka's light. So the Brahma Viharas are the dwelling places of the gods. Metta is the dwelling place of the gods. So when we practice metta, that's what we're doing. We're stepping into the godlike part of ourselves. Just thought this was so funny. If the Buddha dated, talk about love, okay. But I did like the subtitle, which was a handbook for finding love on the spiritual path. That could be useful. I don't quite think dating is what the Buddha had in mind, but who knows? So, in the Mahayana tradition, in Theravada, we talk a lot about metta, about loving kindness. In the Mahayana tradition, they talk more about compassion, which, as I said, is just loving kindness for someone who is suffering. But it's they have the Bodhisattva vow, um, and I thought I would just recite a little bit of that for the first 4 lines or so for you. And this comes from the Mahayana tradition. Beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Not just people, but every being. Lions, elephants, ants, and plants, all living things on earth and possibly elsewhere. So this is about the first quarter or fifth of the Bodhisattva vow. So what I did was I printed 5 or 6 of them, and they're out on the table if you want to take one home and have a copy of the whole thing. And the other thing that I printed, which I thought was very appropriate for tonight, was the Metta Sutta, which was the Buddha's talk on metta. And I'm just going to also read you the first few lines of that. And that you can get a copy of that out there too. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful, calm, and wise and skillful. Isn't that beautiful? It's a beautiful sutta. It's pure poetry. So you can take a copy of that out there too. So I kind of wanted to end with the Metta Sutta, and it's just 7, so we're right on time. Do I have another slide? Oh, you know what this is? I just wanted to show you the San Francisco Zen Center. I was going to talk a little more. I did mention about the Mahayana tradition being more oriented around compassion rather than metta. But, and Zen naturally is a Mahayana tradition. So I've never been there. And so when I saw this picture, I just thought it was interesting. So, this is the Metta Forest Monastery. I just thought I'd show you that. It's down near San Diego. You can go on retreat there. It's the forest tradition of Ajahn Chah. But I thought it was a nice picture to close with. So there you have it. And so we are open for discussion, questions, comments, reflections. And Jen is going to bring the microphone around so that the Zoom people can hear the in-person people. So just raise your hand if you have anything that you want to say or ask or address or what you reflect on.
And if you're on Zoom, you can raise your hand, the little Zoom hand.
So can you call on those people, Robin, if they raise their hand?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And we have a Douglas here in the meditation hall would like to speak.
Good evening, Douglas.
Yeah, this is Douglas. You know, after doing metta practice and and you talked about at the beginning of your talk about wisdom being feeling connected with everything. Um, I find that after practicing for so many years that it's very difficult to sometimes be experiencing that feeling of connectedness or feelings of love. And even if I'm doing a metta practice, it's very difficult to generate a feeling of love within myself. And it's mystifying. You know, I can feel content with it, but I feel like there's something much greater that I'm missing out of this whole practice.
Well, it's good for you for bringing it right front and center. I'm impressed. Oh, you always seem like a very loving person to me over the years of just being near you. So um, it may not be what you think, but stay with it. That's all. And if you can, it's just the thoughts coming into my head, but if you notice your heart kind of going out to anything during the day, I don't know, a baby, a kitten, a bug, you know, notice that. Notice when your heart goes out and what that feels like. And maybe when you're sitting, meditating, you can bring back that little moment when your heart was touched and work with that. That's just a thought. I hope it's helpful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary Helen, Meryl on Zoom has a question. Meryl, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I also really liked what Douglas brought up, because I was just so pissed at my teenager right before this.
Yeah,
And I was
excuse me, Merle. I wonder if you can turn up your volume, or Robin, if you can help Merle turn up her
Is that
volume in
better?
the hallway. We can't hear her. Thank you.
Is that any better? Is that better?
Not yet.
Marcia, maybe turn up the room volume because we can hear it really nice on Zoom.
Can you hear me?
Better, I think.
Is that
Okay.
better?
Yes, thank you.
Oh.
I just really did like the front and center that Douglas did say. Also, I liked how you pointed that out. You know, he just went for it, and I was just really upset again around my teenager again, and just angry walking up the hill with the dog right before I came to this sit. And so, just kind of listening to what you said to him, I thought to myself, yeah, it's so interesting. We can't really measure love. There's no measurement for it. And so we can't really measure contentment. Um, so it's just this, I guess when we think of this big metta or this full of love, it's more of an illusionary thing because we can't really measure it. We don't really have the idea of what's this big love. And except experiences sometimes where you've just felt like all this, like when you have a baby, all this love coming out. um yeah, so I just wanted to remark on that, but thank you so much, Mary Helen.
Thank you, Meryl. Thank you for that reflection, that observation. That's true, I believe.
So here in the hall, we have Eric, and then I saw Rory.
Hi, Mary Helen. Thank you for being here.
Thanks,
And
Eric.
Thank you for the topic tonight. It's always,
Eric, can you
always
hold the
best-
microphone a little bit closer to your mouth? It's hard for us to hear you on Zoom.
Okay. Yeah. So it's always the best topic you could ever bring up because it always comes down to that anyways. But I have to say that, I struggled with formal metta practice for a while. And because it's translated as loving kindness, which implies a doing or some kind of action taking place, that it has to manifest in a certain way. And then it was put to me that I could consider it loving awareness, which just leaves it open, an open kind awareness. It's not a doing. And I've experienced that, to be really helpful in being able to cultivate that for myself, because we have to start with ourselves. That was the hardest part of the practice for me. And that allowed me to hold it kind of in a different way, or have a little bit of a different relationship with it that was more open and allowing than feeling like I had to be kind, because that kind of put it into a framework that I wasn't really ready to work with yet, but it helped me to get there, and so that's the way I experience it, not the way I believe it is or anything, but that's the way I experience it, is that it's just cultivating an awareness that can be with anything that arises, either on the mat or in life, with just an openness and a receptivity for that to be just what it is.
Beautiful.
So it doesn't necessarily have to look all, super pretty and fluffy and happy, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I just want to say that, and that has been so immensely helpful for me, being able to, like I said, relate with myself, and then to inform that, oh, that's how I want to relate to others too. So it's huge. It's a hugely helpful.
It is, and it is for me too. I just want to talk about this a minute, because just lately I've been thinking about, I think it's the same thing you're talking about, but I don't want to take it in a different direction, but I think of it as warmth. Like, yes, I want to be mindful, but I want to be mindful with warmth, so that whatever arises, I'm open to it, like you said, and I can take it in, and I'm not gonna reject it. So I like that so much. I think that warmth is such a beautiful thing.
We have another friend here in the center, Rory.
When I've experienced inherent and essential love, like part of my essence, it's warm and it's flowing and it's golden and it's sweet. It's kind of like honey inside of me, and there's a peacefulness. And so when I can experience this sense of that life, that beautiful golden life inside of me, then it feels like there's a lot of barriers and defenses that soften, and I surrender. And then I can be in a completely different space, first of all, with myself. And then if I can radiate it out to whatever's coming up. But when I equate love with an object outside of myself, like I love this or I love that, it's a completely different feeling rather than getting in touch with my own juiciness.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone online, Robin?
Not yet.
This is Kai. I'm online. Hi, everyone. Hi, Mary Helen. It's so nice to see you, and I really enjoyed your talk. And I just want to say that I have read the book of If Buddha Dated, and it's really fun. It actually is. It's kind of a nice, gentle guideline to have having a healthy relationship and better communication, basically. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. I like that
Oh,
reference.
that's great.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Thank you.
And I love this this photo that you have. Is this the San Diego Forest
This
Monastery?
is the Metta Retreat Center, and I've got it It is down near San Diego in something Valley, which I think I wrote down here.
Wow, just
Valley Center, California, outside of San Diego, in the tradition of Ajahn Chah. So it's Thai Forest Tradition Retreat Center.
yeah, I
was
love all of
beautiful.
your visuals. The visuals that you showed us were really fun to look at and listen. So thank you. Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else here in the center? Comment, question, reflection?
Yeah, we have about 10 more minutes till we want to turn it over to Jen for announcements.
Okay, and I
Marie
do see
has a
Marie raised a
question.
hand.
Great.
Maria, go ahead and unmute.
Thank you. Hi, Mary Helen. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
You know, I'm going to piggyback too on Douglas that I often had, whenever it has come up about the interconnectedness, I guess it's not a consistent feeling. So sometimes I too struggle with that, except what I find fascinating is, when there's peace in my life, if there's a respite period and I can sit and be quiet and be at peace, that's when and what's amazing, John has often mentioned about our good hearts. And it almost feels like by default that with a quietness and a strong presence and no distractions, that it does seem to default to an expansive, loving kindness space, and then I can feel a connectedness with others on a, even if quiet, just being amongst people. And but again, it's amazing how much is involved to get to that. It's easy with so many distractions and so forth to not feel that connectedness, but it is also pleasant to know or feel that it seems to be our underlying state without any distractions, preoccupations, or drama going on.
I completely agree with you. I think it's our true nature. And I think that's what this Brahma Vihara, this dwelling place of the gods that's in us, that's what that means, that it's who we really are. When we, like you say, let go of the distractions and just come into our true self when we can. Thanks.
I see
Thank
Priscilla
you.
also has a hand up. Can you unmute Priscilla?
Yeah, there we go. I was going to say one of the things that has helped me is when I'm in a place and I'm trying to do metta, and I can feel that I'm not in a warm place, and I'm not in a place that can really cognitively seem to change anything. And one of the things that I've been working with is doing Tonglen, just to open the heart and to do metta, do Tonglen for yourself. I mean, I do it for myself, and then I might do it for anyone that I feel close to. And it does begin to sort of, I don't know, melt the heart to be in a more expansive place. And so and then from there you can, proceed with a metta a little bit more. So I was just going to share that because it's helped me.
Priscilla, could you tell everyone what Tonglen is in case anybody's fuzzy about it right now?
Well, it's giving and receiving. So you're giving you're receiving, you actually start with the receiving. You're receiving whatever is there for you right now, whether it's this moment is full of loneliness or it's full of the inability to feel sensitivity toward very much. And so you inhale that and then you breathe it out with compassion. It's basically, I think it's, I'm taking this, I'm in that teaching with Ken Bradshaw now, and there's a lot to it, but I've practiced it for many years, simply taking in the state of distress that I'm in, and then actually thinking in my mind of all those that are going through the same, of those people who are going through the same thing, whether it's a sadness or loneliness or anger, and then exhaling the compassion. It's very quick. I mean, quick in a sense, simple. I don't know if it can be quick really, but it takes you out of yourself into the world already, which is really what the metta practice does, is to expand the compassion, the natural heart that everyone has. And so the Tonglen kind of get you going in that place in a physical way, in a somatic way that's not cognitive, that's not, sort of like worrying about the fact that you can't go anywhere at this point, although you'd like to. But the actual physical experience breaks through, I think, a lot and enables you to be in a new place, to be more available to the metta.
Very helpful. Thank you so much. Appreciate your sharing.
Well, thank you, Mary Helen, for your time tonight and your presence.
You're so welcome. We probably turn things over to Jen in a few minutes, but I just want to kind of close our talk for the night. And I think I'm very moved by what Eric said about that. That I forget the words that you used. To me, it came to be, and it ended up feeling like warmth. But just say it, loving awareness. I just think that's just such a wonderful thing for us to become more interested in. A long time ago, Sylvia Borstein visited us here, and in the Grass Valley Center for the Arts, she and John Travis sat on a stage together and had a conversation, and we all sat in the audience and just drank it in. And Sylvia said that I think this is basically what she said. She said, mindfulness is not mindfulness without loving kindness. It has to be there because, a cat burglar is mindful of everything, except the harm that he's doing. So, I just thought that was a wonderful moment when she said that. And for me, this has become my most important teaching that I'm trying to work with, is loving awareness, that to bring that warmth, not just mindfulness, but to bring the warm mindfulness, to bring it even to the things that are not so much fun, like my incapacity to do this or that. And so I just wanted to close with, thank you, Sylvia. Thank you all. It's been great. I'll turn it over to Jen.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. If you're on Zoom, you may not be able to tell, but there are 15 people in the hall. Mary Helen, it's such a treat to have you here. Thank you.